Hey guys, so yesterday I had a really good conversation with this guy named Adam, and well, we talked about homeless people and all the challenges they face, and the fact that people just don't really seem to understand them. And well, after that conversation, I really felt like I walked away with a new perspective on it, and I hope you guys do as well. Hey everybody, my name's Dusty, this is Adam. So, a little background to the conversation. We were talking about homeless people and whatnot, and I was specifically talking about how people will pass homeless people every day without a drop of empathy for them. Because you take myself, right? I had a fairly decent upbringing, right? I had a pretty loving father who gave me everything I needed and made sure I was successful enough before joining the military. And now I'm on my own now. But at any rate, let's say I have a twin who did not have the same, or who had the same opportunities and took every avenue I took. But then, out of fortune, maybe after five bad things happening to them, now they just turn into, or not turn, but they become homeless beyond hope. And now they end up being that person that people pass every day when they're on the street. And I just want to explore that people need to have empathy for these people instead of just viewing them as deplorable objects. But at any rate, as you were saying, Adam.
Yeah, so I definitely understand where you're coming from. Like, as someone who used to be homeless, growing up, now we didn't have. We always go from place to place, right? Um, and one of the things that really irked me looking back on it is my father would use us children as bargaining chips to try and get us to stay at certain places, and I didn't appreciate that. But
Bargaining chips?
yeah, so he would be like, "Hey, I have my kids here. We don't have a place to stay," and he would always phrase it like that. And he would,
Oh, that's fucked.
yeah, no.
Sorry.
Yeah, no. It wasn't. It was definitely not a great experience for myself. But whenever I reflect upon that, I always think of people out there who they would view other people who are homeless and they have their kids. They would see them as oh, they're just using their kids. Why would they put their kids out there like that? And even though in my specific instance, my father wasn't, the most responsible and he definitely was using it maliciously, it's easy for other people to be like, oh, they're using their kids just to get free money and stuff like that. Or, whatever it is.
But when in actuality, they
Yeah.
actually have I shouldn't say code of ethics, but they're doing it for righteous reasons because they're just
Yeah. So, and what's it called? Yeah, there's just every time I do see a person who's homeless on the street, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't really view them as people who are lazy or anything like that, because sure, a very small minute of them could be, and they're not really pushing themselves out, but a lot of them are just down on their luck.
Exactly.
I've been in that position so many different times. I had to worry about where I would have to eat, where I'm sleeping, and stuff like that. So there was even a few times where if you were to go to the homeless shelter in downtown, if you went there at a specific time, they would kick you out. It doesn't matter.
They would kick you out.
Yeah. So there's a
Is it because they hit their
if they hit their
capacity?
So you would hit their capacity, and then you wouldn't be allowed in. And then in the morning, you'd have to leave. You would have to leave because at least we had to leave. I don't know if things changed now, but growing up, we had to leave so that
so they can make room for more people.
Yeah.
So reflecting on it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So why do you think people come at it from this perspective of not really caring or thinking that these people aren't victims of poor circumstance? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And also, if you had to think about too, how would you help people develop empathy for people of that circumstance?
I think to answer the second part of that question, just to like educate themselves on how the system, how like overall how we treat homeless people, just in terms of social services and stuff like that. And if they realize like, oh wow, like there's a lot of stepping stones or a lot of roadblocks on the way, like yeah, like we have a lot of social services here, but they're not great. Like the homeless shelter is first come, first serve. There's a lot of like when you see somebody on the street, right? The negative stigma is they're dirty, they're unclean. Sometimes they're like screaming and stuff like that or whatever. I live in Linda Vista, and there's like a bunch of people around there that are homeless in my specific neck of the woods, and like I don't view those. I have pity on those people because they're not getting the help that they necessarily need. And just like a couple weeks ago, the church over there, they hang around at the church, especially if it's like cold or raining. And I just saw like the pastor, the pastor, the church, or whoever was there, was like shooing them away or kicking them away, and which is strange because you'd think that they would help those people because that's the whole point as an organization, right? They help the.
It should be.
Yeah, I mean that's what I would view, right? But I think the baseline need is for people to be more educated on how the system treats homeless people, and if they realize like, oh, once you get into that position,
it's really hard to get out.
It's really hard to get out because like I'm not too knowledgeable on all the stuff, all the systems, but just like excuse me, but just that the homeless shelter, right? Like where it's like first come first serve, and like you have to leave in the morning and stuff like that. And then on the way back, you have to get in line to hopefully get your spot back. But yeah, and I think there's what's it called? Yes, and the services that we have altogether, like I believe we need more rehabilitation programs. And honestly, I don't know what it is, but like my faith in humanity, where they just don't want to help the homeless people.
I agree with you on everything you said, but the back step a little bit, going back to educating people.
Yeah.
So to educate people, right? So it sounds like in an attempt to help people develop more critical thinking and empathy towards these people, we need to increase their capacity, not just to understand them, but also the like, how would I put this? Increase their capacity to understand them. And it seems like the only way to do that is if you haven't been through any kind of hardship like that, is to maybe just, do you think it would like benefit people if they just like stopped and talked to homeless people?
I think so, yeah. Just if they were to just take a second out of their days, just like ask them, like, you know, what
happened?
Yeah, what happened, stuff like that. Now, there's definitely some safety concerns. Approaching another person, you don't know what they're gonna do, right? But like,
of course.
Yeah, but barring that, if you want to truly understand like where they're coming from and how hard it is, definitely just talk to a conversation and be like, hey, like. We can also ask that question again if you want.
Oh, so I don't want to edit the video because I want to keep it organic.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. I respect that.
Sorry, keep going. I don't want to sidetrack.
Yeah, not a problem. Definitely have a conversation with people that were homeless or are homeless currently. So you can more look at them as people, because in the media, and especially in like just how we perceive them, we dehumanize them on this very similarly to like all of the stuff that we've been doing with anything right that we don't like the immigration crisis. Like we tend to dehumanize them in society and in the media especially. And if we stop looking at them as people, then we start discriminating against them. We don't pass social services or anything to help them. So we should shift from, dehumanizing them to actually looking at them as people.
I completely agree. It's like, like kind of expand on that. Do you know what's like one of the things that makes humans humans and animals animals?
I would assume their capacity for empathy, right?
Exactly, because
Yeah.
like animals treat other animals like animals, but humans though, like we're actually capable of like not treating each other like deplorable objects, should we choose to, right?
Yeah.
And that's, I don't know. So I feel like I developed this empathy several years ago for homeless people because I pick up hitchhikers. I'm kind of crazy, right?
Right.
And I picked up this guy in Texas, and I gave him a ride all the way to Florida. And he told me his life story about how he used to own a chain of dry cleaning stores and whatnot. But then, like, he fell on hard times, and his mom died, and then all of his money went into his personal health because I guess he had like some bone problems, and apparently, like, his children disowned him because they didn't want to help him, and all he wanted was a ride to Florida. And I obliged because I was going that way, but it's just, I felt like after that conversation, I really, I really stopped looking at homeless people that way, and that kind of stands as a testament to what you just said.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'm thankful for all of the people that have helped me in the past. As growing up and helping my father. Unfortunately, my father's not a great person, so we would always overstay our welcomes and stuff like that. And I just hope that because of that, they don't have a negative stigma on like people who are homeless or people who are trying to take
Like
advantage.
the one ruins it for the many.
Yeah, that type of thing. Like a couple months ago, I like saw a video of a homeless man. I'm assuming he's homeless, but he was basically going on saying that he came all the way from like Texas or whatever, and then he's staying in San Francisco because they pay you to be homeless here, right? So like he was telling them how the unemployment he's getting and like whatnot, and all the like the food stamps he's getting as well, right? The thing with that is that most people will view that video and being like, oh yeah, they're taking advantage of the system, right? But like, for one, for people who actually need it, they are taking advantage of that system so they can get to a better place, right? And it annoys me because for unemployment, you have to prove
That you were making money in
that
the
you-
prior business career.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And also,
Have you ever been laid off before?
yes, actually very recently.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
Sorry
so
to hear that.
that's okay. The company got bought out, so they're just like,
So-
well, we gotta let you go.
Ooh.
Yeah.
So years ago, I used to work for Domino's Pizza, right? I used to be that kid,
Mhm.
and I worked there less than a business year, and because of that, they wouldn't let me collect unemployment because the
Yeah.
store was closing, and it was an ugly scenario. But it's sorry.
Yeah. So you have to be making money at some point, right? And then also they allocate a certain amount of money for the entire year, and they give it to you. At least is it how it is currently. And the money typically lasts 6 months, and then you also need to wait an entire year
Before you can.
Yeah, so those 6 months, you're kind of SOL if you
Don't
couldn't
have
find
anything.
if you couldn't find a job, and you have to wait till the next year to reapply. And how it works is because the previous job pays for it, or they sometimes they will fight it and then you won't get it afterwards. So
Wait, the previous job pays for it.
yeah, so the way unemployment works is they pay for it and they bill the previous employer, and that's how. So
Okay, so at any rate, though, so I think the basis of what you're saying is that one individual in the video kind of ruined the perception of
Yeah.
those privileges for the mass.
yeah, so that they're just assuming that it is a real video, right? Which is something that a lot of people need to like really take into consideration when viewing anything on social media. Is take everything with a grain of salt because a lot of things can be doctored.
Yes.
So when I saw that video, I just reflected upon my own experiences and just saying and just thinking of, that person will not have money after 6 months, depending if they didn't have the like job in the past year, then they won't collect
Anything.
Yeah. Food stamps is a different story.
And if you don't have any resources, period, like you can't get a haircut, you don't have nice clothes to go be interviewed in,
Yeah.
you're just, it's a cascading effect, isn't it?
Yeah. Like, a lot of people just assume that unemployment and other social services like that people are just going to take advantage of it and just be lazy. But like studies have shown that that's not the case. Nobody wants to be home doing nothing.
Oh, of course, nobody wants to.
Yeah. Yeah.
I really liked how this conversation has gone. I'm sorry if I'm cutting you off, because I know you said you were limited on time and it's been about 15 minutes or so. So just to kind of summarize what we talked about.
Yeah.
I think the best way to solve the perception problem with homeless people in this country is to educate people and then make them understand that a lot of these homeless people are victims of circumstances, right? And they could have been you not even a year ago.
Yeah.
And that a lot of the not privileges, but a lot of the opportunities that have been presented to them, such as the phones and the EBT stamps and the unemployment that we talked about. It's not a gravy train. It's tools that they need to get back on their feet, and they shouldn't be discriminated against as such.
Yeah.
So, maybe the next time you're at a gas station or you're walking in front of Walmart, maybe you should just stop for a second and look at that homeless person and think, could have been you, or it can be you. Who knows?
Yeah, definitely.
Would you have anything else to add to that, Adam?
No, pretty much hit the nail on the head, but definitely just take your time out of the day just to look at how hard it is to not be homeless, how to get out of that rut. And you begin to understand how some of these people stay like that. So that's what I would recommend for everyone, is just look at how hard it is to not be homeless.
Well, thank you for your time.
Not a problem.
And I hope you guys enjoyed the conversation we had.
You have a nice day.